Good morning, everyone. So, today we will be presenting our study on intercultural communication competencies adapting to a new culture. So, our group focused on understanding how individuals adapt their communication styles when living in a new culture. To guide our study, we prepared structured interview questions to explore real life experiences of individuals who migrated and adjusted to different cultural environments. Before conducting our interviews, we formed the following assumptions. First, that people communicate differently in other cultures. Second, misunderstandings can happen even if the same language is spoken. And third, that motivation affects how people adapt. Then we used our interview findings to confirm or challenge these assumptions. Our first interviewee is Gian Antonio Pinlac, who is originally from Pampanga, Mabalacat, and now lives in New York in the United States. He is currently studying nursing while working as a caregiver. His experience reflects a transition from a indirect and respectful Filipino communication style to a fast-paced and direct American environment. Second interviewee is Jonas Pau, a Filipino-Chinese businessman who studied and lived in New Zealand. He moved there during high school and later graduated with a degree in economics and hotel management. His experience exposed him to a Western communication style that is more direct and informal compared to Filipino culture. Second interviewee is Jonas Pau, a Filipino-Chinese businessman who studied and lived in New Zealand. He moved there during high school and later graduated with a degree in economics and hotel management. His experience exposed him to a Western communication style that is more direct and informal compared to Filipino culture.
Our third interviewee is Joyce Yan Bubulo, who grew up in Ifugao and works now as a registered nurse in Canberra, Australia. Before moving to Australia, she also worked in Singapore for over 10 years, giving her multiple experience adapting to different cultures and communication styles. Before moving, all three interviewees had their own expectation about communication in their new environments. Jean expected American to be cold and less expressive, but he later realized that while they are direct, they will still show respect in different ways, such as tone and openness. Jonas believed his intensity might create barriers, but he discovered that communication itself helped him connect and blend into the community. Similarly to Joyce, assumed Australians would be very direct and less emotional. While this was partly true, she found that they balance directness with humor and friendliness. From these experiences, we can learn that initial assumptions are often incomplete, while communication styles differ, respect and connection are still present in every culture, just expressed differently. All interviewees experienced misunderstanding despite speaking the same language. Jean's experience with the Mano gesture showed how cultural practices may not be understood by others. What is respectful in one culture can be confusing in another. Jonas encountered stereotypes where local assume Asian students were wealthy, which overlooked in his personal struggles. This shows how assumption can affect communication and relationship. Joyce experienced a misunderstanding in the workplace when a colleague used humor to express disagreement. At first, she does not recognize this and it felt confused. In all cases, they resolved this situation explaining and asking questions and adjusting to their approach. This highlights that the language alone is not enough culturally. Understanding is as essential for effective communication. Another challenge they faced was as learning spoken rules in their new environments. Jean had to learn to speak up and express his opinion, especially in academic settings where participation is expected. Jonas realized that discussing religion casually could make others uncomfortable, so he adjusted by focusing on neutral topics. Joyce learned to address colleagues by their first name and to openly give and receive feedbacks, which was different from the formal culture she was used to. These experiences show that observing and adapting to social norms is important to intercultural communication.
So for slide 9, communication style or rhythm. So here we ask our interviewees how would they describe the rhythm or style of conversation in their new environment. Gian's response described communication in the US as fast, direct, and expressive, which required him to adjust his confidence and speaking style. Jonas observed that communication in New Zealand is informal and direct, focusing more on clarity than hierarchy, while Joyce noted that the Australians combined directness with humor and subtle cues, creating a balance between clarity and friendliness. From this, we can see that communication styles differ in speed, tone, and formality, and adapting to these differences improve communication's effectiveness. So for slide 10, motivation and change, we ask our interviewees, what was the biggest internal driver or reason for wanting to adapt to the local culture? So for Gian, a major factor in his adaptation was motivated by the opportunities available in the US and his desire to build a future. Jonas was driven by personal and professional growth, which pushed him to become more adaptable, while Joyce was motivated by her goal to be an effective nurse and connect with diverse patients. Because of these motivations, all three interviewees experienced lasting changes in their communication, thus, they became more effective, confident, and flexible. This shows that motivation plays a key role in developing intercultural communication competence. So now, for our group's conclusion. In conclusion, our assumptions were partially validated. We confirmed that communication styles differ across cultures, and that misunderstandings can occur, even when people speak the same language. However, we also learned that respect and understanding are still present, just expressed differently. Based on our findings, we recommend the following to build intercultural communication competence. 1. Motivation. You must be open and willing to adapt. Next is knowledge. Learn more about cultural norms and communication styles. Next is tolerance of anxiety. Accept misunderstandings as part of the process. You will make mistakes. And lastly is communicative behavior. You need to adjust how you speak and interact based on the situation. Overall, adapting to a new culture requires awareness, flexibility, and continuous learning. So here is our evidence and pictures with interviewees. We have photos from our interviews with Gian, Jonas, and Joyce. These images represent the authentic conversations we had about their personal journeys with cultural adaptation. This session allowed us to move beyond our initial assumptions and hear firsthand how they navigated new communication environments. Slide 13. To conclude our presentation, we want to thank you for your time and attention. We hope the stories of Gian, Joyce, and Jonas offered valuable insights into the realities of cultural adaptation and the importance of staying open to new communication styles. Thank you for listening.